So I went out clubbing in Oxford's this weekend, and it was a really interesting experience because I haven't really been out in Oxford. So it was nice to see. It's nice to see Oxford at night time in the evening, Um, and there was a lot I took away from it, but it had been a while since I'd been clubbing, I guess, and I just had a slightly different perspective on it compared to what I usually had. One thing that I think a lot of people relate to when going clubbing is this idea that you have to have a good time. There's kind of a pressure to have a good time when you're going out clubbing. And I actually think this does us a lot of damage, you know. And this is why it becomes quite a fake environment, quite a superficial environment, clubbing, because everyone's pretending to have a super good time, but often they're not. And it's fair enough, because to be honest, going out clubbing is quite an unnatural environment. You know, dancing very livelily to quite boring, repetitive music is quite exhausting. But that's what you're kind of expected to do at a club. And yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. I mean, I do think our generation has kind of, and I guess generations before, have sort of been denied the best nightlife. Like, I think back in the day, there was much more of a elegant merging of things to do in a nightclub in it. You know, when went out clubbing, or what the equivalent of that. You know, if you look at like the word club, where did that come from? You know, well, my guess is it came from clubs, just club as in you'd have a gentleman's club or a, well, like not like that kind of gentleman's club, but like, a club where you like pay money to network with people, right? And it has like, you get these clubs in like London or whatever where it's like you're a member of it and you go there and you have foods, and then in the evening you have some drinks. There's a bar and you're there and you can network and talk to people and whatever. And I feel like, I'm gonna have to look this up, I don't know if it's true, but my theory has always been that nightclubs was just versions of that people did in the nighttime, right? Where you go for a meal and you have some drinks afterwards, and there was a bar area, but there was also an area to chat. There was also an area to listen to music, and I don't know. You just watch these films of like in the 50s, or even earlier, of like, I guess what you would call nightclubs at the time, and it just looks so much better, and I think it's just because you could do everything. You could, listen to music, but you could also go and chat with your friends. You could also, go and dance, like have some food, but it was all a lot more kind of mixed together in a much more elegant way that was much more enjoyable. And I do feel like our generation has had like a very extreme version of this, like the modern club. They've just gotten rid of all the kind of elegant parts of it that, obviously made it very expensive, whatever, but it was the parts of it that really made it fun and enjoyable. And now it is just the music and the alcohol, and that's all you've got. And it's a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame that we have to kind of choose between listening to music or being able to talk to friends. I feel like that's the choice a lot of the time now. It's like, and people always say this, it's like you either go to a pub where you can chat to people and whatever, or you go to a club and you can listen to music. And people often say, I prefer going to pubs because, that way I can talk to my friends. But I don't like I don't like that you have to compromise between being able to talk to your friends and listen to music. You know, I think part of the fun of like going out at night is the music. You know, I've looked in a lot, internally about myself and sort of, why clubbing appeals to me. Why I like it, whatever. And I think what it boils down to really is I enjoy listening to music. That is probably like 70% to do with it. I just like being in an atmosphere where there's music. And clubs just don't give you, pubs don't really give you that, So yeah, just to get back to my point, we're in this situation, really weird situation, to be honest, in the UK today, where we just don't really know where we are with nightlife anymore. We just don't really do it very well. We don't really do it how people did it back in the day. And you look at, another thing that's really strange is we just have these kind of weird offshoots, these sort of subculture, sort of small kind of things that aren't bars, aren't clubs, aren't bars, aren't pubs, but they're like an activity that you do on a night out. Like you get these, I went to like this ice rink where you could just get a beer and it was kind of like a night out kind of thing. Or I got what's it called, Junkyard Golf Club, which is like this kind of chain in the UK where you go and play like crazy golf, but there's like cocktails that you buy, there's a bar, and it's kind of, people do it on a night out, and it's just, I don't know, we just I've done it before, like it's fun, whatever, but I really feel like we've lost our minds, we've lost our real sense of where we're going with nightlife today, and it's all a bit confused, and these what have sort of, I guess, descended from the traditional nightclub is just degenerated into this very intense environment that is not actually that fun for that long. And it's just degenerated to kind of listen to music that isn't that great. And all you can do is dance, and there's nothing else there to do, basically. And it's really weird because, in a sense, it's a really fun atmosphere. It's really fun to be surrounded by, but you can't dance for 3 hours and enjoy it all the time. I mean, like, let me rephrase that. I think you can, 100%. Like, you get those nights where you just want to dance all evening, whatever. But I feel like most people I see, like when I'm hanging around with people who are in that environment where they're in a nightclub, whatever, it feels like the sort of dancing they're doing is a bit kind of fake, and it's like they're not really enjoying it. I remember one time when I was working in this club in Manchester, which, to be fair, was actually quite a good club, and I think it was quite a good approximation of what a modern club should be, because there was a dance area and there was like a kind of chill area where you could talk as well. But I remember just seeing one guy who was, they were playing this song that was like, the Barbie song, the kind of, they did it like, not the film, but there was, some TV show about Barbie or whatever. And there's like a theme tune to it. And this club would play the theme tune, which just gives you an idea of like what kind of club it was. But anyway, and there was this one dude who was like in his 40s, and he was just sitting there and he was just bopping his head along to the Barbie song, and I was like, it was just so obvious to me that he wasn't really enjoying it. He was just kind of pretending it. And look, I'm not knocking it, like whatever, you do what you like. It's fine, but it did seem to me a bit silly that he was pretending to enjoy himself. It's like, why is he pretending to enjoy himself? Anyway, like I say, I was going out clubbing last night, and I just kind of thought to myself, like, I was actually having quite a fun time. Just being around that atmosphere, you know, having a few drinks, you know, being with my friends, just sort of as a kind of social experiment, you know, just kind of looking at all the different groups and, you know, that kind of buzz of a nightclub. It was all quite exciting. You know, I was quite happy to be there. I wasn't dying to go home. But I just didn't really feel like dancing, you know? Like the music that they were playing, it wasn't music that I was like super into. It was kind of just very monotonous music. And like I say, I wasn't ready to go home. Like I was down to stay. I was enjoying the atmosphere, whatever. But dancing just didn't really feel natural to me. And in the past, I probably would have just gone along with it and just kind of, you know, bops along and sort of convinced myself to enjoy it. But I actually thought like, no, I'm just gonna chill out. And I just kind of stood there and, you know, swayed from side to side a bit and whatever. Just didn't really dance. And in a sense, maybe it was a bit weird of me to do that. Maybe I should have just gone along with it, whatever. But to be honest, it would have looked just as weird if I just decided to dance when I didn't really feel like I wanted to, you know. And yeah, I think a lot of the time when people overdo it on nights out, it's because they feel they need to enjoy themselves more. And the best way to do that is just to drink more drink, you know, or at least so it feels at the time, right? But the trouble is that isn't really, doesn't really do anything, doesn't really change the situation, but it feels like it does. But if you get rid of that pressure to enjoy yourself in the first place, and if you just think, you know what, I'm just gonna chill out and have a fun time, then that kind of pressure to get drunk just really disappears, you know. And if you can get in the habit of just ordering a few non-alcoholic drinks here and there, then yeah, you've bypassed that tendency to overdo it on a night out. Like obviously there are things you've got to look into as well. Like I'm not saying it's a foolproof strategy, but it feels like just so much of the times when I've overdone it on a night out is because I've felt like a pressure to enjoy myself. And I'm like, okay, everyone's dancing at really high energy here. I'm not enjoying the music and I don't really feel moved to dance. But I'm sure if I have a few more drinks, I will, so let's do that. But just getting rid of that desire to have to fit into what everyone else is doing, just doing what feels naturally, you know, it's much better. It's much better. So yeah, that's kind of been my thoughts about going out. I mean, there is a problem with the nightclub industry today. Maybe that's what I'm going to revolutionise in the future. But yeah, we'll see. But in the meantime, guys, I'm doing some one-on-one coaching at the moment. So if you click the top link in the description, it would be wonderful to hear from you. And I will see you in the next video.